Of course, Hecarim was banned out. Probably going to stay on the ban list because you don't really need to correct much here for MVP. He looked great in game 1.
So, game number 2 between CJ and MVP. There's an Italy ban right off the bat from CJ. They did ban it out last time as well.
Hecarim first ban from MVP because they're on red side. Maybe we'll even see a Shen ban to the side of CJ. They didn't respect BDD's Azir in game 1, so it seems like they're pretty flexible about what they want to ban against this lineup.
Yeah. That's right. I like how you keep looking at the camera during this, like you keep involving the audience with picks and bans. I'm just looking at my sheet right now, man. I've got stuff to write down. Varus, the next ban, and Ian's Varus was really good in game number 1, so not too surprising that CJ wants to take that out of the equation.
The fun thing about banning Varus is it also prices the enemy in to banning the Azir, because Varus is one of the lane champions that works very good against the Azir, farms very safely from long range, so now you might actually, despite having taken down Midi's Azir, be tempted to ban it on red side.
Sure enough. MVP figuring out that second ban. They're going to go with the Vlad, which they did, again, ban out in game number 1. Hecarim, Vlad. Now they also banned out Victor, was the third ban.
I thought was interesting. To me, we've seen some early Victor reaches, which I don't like. I think Victor is a good champion, but never really decides a game. We've seen some carry Victor performances, but as an early blind pick or as a ban, I think it's just too much respect for a very decent mid laner.
Yeah.
It's going to be the Ryze ban, which makes sense. Another power pick that was still available.
Yeah, and Shen. Okay, so they do take out the Shen. Just not wanting to give CJ the chance to take that.
Took it in game 1, ban it out in game 2. This is going to be increasing Shen priority. One of the few champions that now a lot of tanks have been nerfed. Shen, it feels like, is the go-to tank with Maokai kind of on the sidelines. So expect to see the priority being high. And speaking of priority picks, the Karma's available.
Yeah, Karma definitely a go-to pick for a lot of teams right now. As that first pick, you can flex it, of course, between mid and from support. So got a lot of options with that one. Or 2 options anyway, but it's a lot in League of Legends.
I mean, we've seen top lane Karma around the world, jungle Karma from Diamond Procs. So
it's true.
You're right. It's realistically going to be mid or support. Not sure if BDD will want to run it, but that's a question they can answer later in the draft and have some lingering doubt for MVP to work out.
So what are the first picks for MVP going to be this time?
The Skarner. Definitely just lock in the Skarner.
Trundle, okay, so it's the OGN Korean caster super tribute, except for the Blitzcrank. I don't know. I mean, I guess you're just trolling Mad Life with that. All right, Sivir Rek'Sai makes a lot more sense.
Always a little bit disappointed to see a playmaking jungle like Beyond be relegated to Rek'Sai duty, but if his pathing gets creative, then he can do some fun stuff coming behind turrets.
Well, you can certainly make some plays on Rek'Sai.
Just kind of limited. You got Flash on Burrow, and then that's pretty much all you got. But see if he gets creative with the pathing, like I mentioned. And the Sivir pick, Maha again on utility ADs has been great, and it denies a potential utility AD pick from CJ Entus.
Yeah, as much as we've praised the positioning of Kramer on CJ, Maha has kind of been the opposite, who's really kind of struggled with positioning in team fights. So, yeah, putting him on utilities seems like the way to go.
Well, we've had some, again, I especially had a lot of words for specifically Maha and Ian. Ian's champion pool seemed to be Ari and then decent on the Varus. Maha looked like he was going to be a liability, but both have been good in LCK without being outstanding, and that platform allows a talent like Beyond to really thrive. As I see you're surprised, because it's been a while since we've seen the Ashe. Kramer played it a couple of times, but now Ghost is going to go on one of those utility AD carries.
Yeah, that's right. And so this is going to mean that CJ does need to play things a bit differently than we're used to. They can't just count on the AD carry carrying here. They have to count on the pick potential from this Ashe. Also means they'll need damage from other roles. Ashe does decent damage in the late game, but again, it's all about the consistent slow. Some decent single target damage with the Q available, but it's not just going to be Kramer carrying, and it's also a champion has to be very specific with the positioning. So I guess we'll get a real idea of Ghost's positioning ability compared to Kramer. True. So MVP mulling over their choices here. The Trundle pick, a possibility.
It was surprising not to see Trundle picked in the spot where Poppy was taken, because Trundle was available last series and we didn't see a Trundle lock. It will be the Trundle taken.
All right, well, we know where that Trundle's going because we've got the Alistar locked in as well, but this is a lot of engage for MVP and against a team that has Ashe. Not a bad idea. They can jump on top of this Ashe and Karma really fast now.
And look, Alice has been very underwhelming this season after the ultimate change, but if he does one thing well, it's try to negate champions like Ashe. Just run at them, headbutt available, headbutt them out of the fight, or engage with the headbutt pulverize. So as a champion who can deal with an immobile AD carry, I think Alistair has some merit against Ashe.
What do you go with for the final pick on the MVP side, though? Maybe something like a Victor? If it,
Well, I mean, Karma's probably going to be the mid lane if they take the Braum, so a top lane is what they need. They need damage also, probably from the top lane.
On the MVP side.
Oh, sorry, on the MVP side? Let's see what happens here on CJ's side. They want to answer the Trundle. Gnar has been a lane counter that's worked in other regions. The Gnar play we've seen in LCK has actually been really questionable. So this is a risky pick from Intaro because you usually go heavy damage on the Gnar. If you get ganked in the early laning phase, you can just straight up lose lane against a Trundle. Yeah. And then even then, if you go damage, your team fight is about, do you hit that massive Gnar ultimate and win the fight from there, or are you just a situational tank that gets focused down?
Well, Rek'Sai Trundle too does kind of provide a lane that's a little bit scary to push too far up in. It's a lot of CC. The Ahri from Ian would be interesting.
He's hovered it a lot, hasn't locked it in. Azir is available, you could just take on the side of MVP. Has a decent laning phase in any lane, but he's an Ahri specialist, so we're always optimistic that we'll see the return of the Ahri. Looked great on the Ahri in the promotion tournament, but if you're going to run Ahri, you could also run LeBlanc, and it's basically like for like, except LeBlanc's power level's a little bit higher.
That is something to consider with this team, is that they do have that Ahri kind of pocket pick, but it's going to be the LeBlanc this time. Perhaps a little bit more reliable of a way to go in and blow people up. And right now, it just seems like they're really trying to exploit the immobility of this Karma and Ashe.
And the Karma will be able to provide movement speed for the Ashe, but obviously I take the point that if everyone runs at
big
Ashe,
escapes. Yeah.
No escapes will hurt. It's also worth noting that if you get the Gnar behind and the Gnar builds damage, then you now have double teleport, and if Trundle's winning the lane and LeBlanc can just swap in and explode the situationally squishy Gnar, there could be some pretty big headaches for getting this Gnar through if he doesn't receive significant help from Haru in the early game.
That is true.
Gnar wins the 1v1, but it's all about the junglers swinging the lane, and so far Beyond has certainly been on top of Haru this series.
Yeah. Well, looking to see something a bit better from Ghost here in game number 2. See if he's shaking off the nerves of his first games here on LCK Summer. Perform a little bit better than we saw on that Twitch, but you know, you do have to wonder how much of that was him and how much of that was just the pick being a little bit awkward. We'll have to wait and see.
CJ, get through the early game, get the Gnar ahead. They have very big power in the mid game, so the mid game is really where they look good, but honestly there's good power on the side of MVP, so this probably is going to be a snowball game that usually relies on the jungler getting ahead, so the betting man would certainly give the advantage to MVP.
We will see. They looked very convincing in game number 1. See if they can take it out in game number 2 as we move into that game. CJ trying to tie things up against MVP. Let's see who takes it. All right, here we go. Ooh, and the Infernal Drake. We have not started with a Cloud Drake all day, Papa Smithy. Wow. CJ versus MVP, game number 2. MVP certainly looking like the stronger team so far this series.
See a bit of a meeting of the minds between Max and Madlife. A point that I didn't mention, though, is that, of course, Max was the sub-support to Madlife a year ago in Champion Summer 2015, so probably learned a lot of his trade from Madlife. He went on to MVP, was the outstanding performer next to Beyond on the MVP squad during the Spring Challenger. Now he's meeting his old mentor in Champion.
That's right. I think there was ever a point where Madlife would have conferred on him the title of Life, so he would have become Max Life.
I don't know about that, but I bet there was a time when he tried to give Max a tutorial on Alistair, so...
It's true. Maybe he just gives away the Mad part, then he'd be Mad Max.
Good movie.
Yeah. Which one?
I've actually only seen the remake.
Oh, all right.
That was great.
It's not really a remake, though.
Sure.
It's more of like a reboot or a sequel. It's hard to tell. It's good.
I feel if you take the same title, it kind of has to be a reboot, right?
Well, it's not, though, because it was Mad Max Fury Road.
That's true.
Because all the other ones were like Mad Max, Road Warrior.
Fair point, fair point.
Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, or whatever it was called. I think that was it.
Interestingly, the lane swap is actually initiated from CJ. This might have just been a preliminary lane swap because you heavily expect the team with the Trundle versus Gnar matchup to want to swap the Trundle out of the 1v1, but it seems like MVP just went for standard lanes. We're a little bit surprised to find CJ lane swapping, and they'll be pretty happy with this result.
The harassment doesn't seem too effective from Mad Life here.
He won't go full Hachani and flash into the red buff.
I don't think so. Oh, Hachani, never change. Well, for KT's sake, you probably should.
Hey, KT are winning and SKT are losing, so who's to say where KT is on the power rankings right now? I do not envy anybody making LCK power rankings after this week.
Dude, it is so crazy this season. Like, I left Korea for a week, and when I come back, what in the world? What have you guys done to this league? I blame you completely. Max coming in, looking for the headbutt pulverize. He does find it onto BDD. Chains may force a flash. Goes off. BDD flashes at the last moment to get away. That's a summoner down now in favor of MVP. So, nice little early gank. And this is an interesting thing to kind of throw into the lane swap, isn't it?
Yeah, if you find the time, sometimes you really pay for ganks like that because the tempo of the turret taking goes down and the enemy team has a chance of getting extra objectives as MVP think about the wraparound. BDD's not been the greatest with lane control. The lane's in a really awkward spot for him here.
Yeah, oh, there he is. They got to go on it now.
Yep, they're going.
Yep, that's right. Oh, the minion wave's right there, though. Were they spotted by the minions? I believe they were. Yeah, ping. Well, no, those were pings from MVP, though, so you'd think they had to see it. Uh-oh. Ian. All right, Chains coming down to BDD this time. But Ian goes in. Wow, Haru didn't pull the trigger on that one.
We're pretty happy that he missed the chain, because that might have meant Haru coming into the lane.
I guess so. I thought Haru was going to maybe be a little bit more aggressive with that.
The fun thing about this game is that the top lane mismatch accepted. There's quite a lot to like in terms of like for like on each team. Both teams have effectively a pick comp. Blanc and Rek'Sai can get a lot of work done as a duo. Elise also ganking for strong damage lanes like the Karma and the Gnar. And obviously Ashe once she gets level 6. So a lot of pick CC from both sides, so that's why I mentioned that this feels like a snowball game. Because when there's a like for like, when the drafts are pretty similar, utility AD carries, pick supports, pick junglers, when that happens, it's usually the team that gets the early advantage, snowballs pretty significantly because each team has very similar tools and tool sets available to them.
Yeah.
Only big question mark is the mismatch in top lane, specifically the Gnar should be able to comfortably overcome the Trundle, but the itemization is kind of always up in the air.
Right. Ghost getting some time on his own down in bot lane, and he got a lot of time on his own last game too, and it didn't end up helping out that much. Maha, though, has a nice little CS lead.
So one of the reasons why Ghost was being slow about pushing up this wave is that you kind of want to mirror where your jungler is. The Elise was on the top side of the map taking Gromp, so it was going to be a while before she was going to be in position to help take the second turret. So basically opting into the tempo being a bit lower. Speeding up now, though. Yep.
ADD moving up to that turret to help out his team. And CJ not even to the bottom tier 1 yet.
A lot of respect from both mid lane as you see Negatron Cloak rush on Karma and the LeBlanc.
Wow, yeah.
You usually don't see this on Karma because most Karmas will itemize into Athane's Unholy Grail, so you can just build the Chalice for the magic resist and the health and mana sustain that provides. Negatron does seem to indicate Abyssal Scepter on both sides.
Could be. And Beyond looking for a gank onto BDD. Ian goes in. There's a knockup. BDD in a lot of trouble here. He does not have his flash, and that may be first blood. No, Ian gets stunned by the chains, and he's actually going to get out.
So close, because the root came onto Ian, even with flash, wasn't in range for the flash distortion kill.
Wow.
They have to back away.
The turret does go down up in top lane, though, in favor of MVP. Ian going to get some free time with this turret. Looks like CJ is going to equalize in the end.
The sum reward is just going to be the teleport timer from BDD, so if Ian can make something happen on the map, that will vindicate the good gank timing from Beyond, but that's, again, very slim advantage. stage. First item as expected from Intara, so probably going to be the Black Cleaver.
Yep, seeing that Gnar go for damage like we were expecting.
When you go for a damage build, you kind of really want there to be turrets available, and the reason why I say that is in a short lane, if you have damage, you can always wail away with auto attacks, get some auto attacks on the enemy turret, then have a short lane to be able to retreat if you get ganked. But with outer turrets down on both sides of the map, very easy to get ganked if you overextend. Speaking of overextensions.
Yeah, teleport coming in. That's right, ADD could be in a lot of trouble as Intara shows up, slows him down, and Intara just hops out of that one. There's the flash. No turret to protect him, though, and this might be first blood going to CJ. Looks like it will be. They give it over to Intara. And so MVP, despite some early strong plays, does give that first kill to CJ Entus.
Just super overextended in lane. That was not a safe place for ADD to go. That's just a mistake. We saw Ruler punished for mistakes like that when he played against SK Telecom from Samsung the first time that rookie had shown any levels, and that was just a situation where ADD couldn't be there. There was no defensive warding for him, there was no coverage from the jungler, he was punished. They may get an Infernal Drake out of it, but they're also really at pressure of losing this inner top lane turret.
Yeah, is the Infernal Drake worth losing this turret for?
I mean, I think CJ were a case study that in game one. I think the answer is no. I think the permanent gold is so much.
Aru finds Ian. Ian has to distortion away, dodges the arrow though. Sees that coming in. Oh. Recall denied. He meant to do that.
So Arrow make a massive cross-map arrow in the KT series yesterday. That one was a lot more fortunate.
Yep. CJ may be able to get this Rift Herald. Max kind of on his own here. ADD comes in to try to help out a support. Intara actually gonna have to flash to try to escape. Here comes Beyond. The fight is on. Maha and Ian coming down from the bottom, but Ian already down to about half health. EDD gonna zone out pretty well with that Q. ADD coming in. They force the flash out of the Karma.
There's the Trundle Pillar.
It's gonna be coming soon, or not at all.
Yeah, still 2 seconds away, so couldn't bounce the Ashe towards the team. They really wanted to get the Summoner spell on the Ashe as well.
So Rift Herald not taken by CJ. Instead, they pay with a couple Summoner spells.
Yeah, no Rift Herald and no inner turret, so just a free Infernal Drake.
Yeah.
Well, I guess a kill for an Infernal Drake, which is a pretty decent trade for MVP.
Free-ish. Yep. I think they'll be happy with that.
Whenever a champion like LeBlanc, a snowball laner, can pick up the Infernal Drake, it just means that first item purchase gets further and further ahead.
That's a good point.
Pick champions plus Infernal Drake is happy times.
Happy times for one team anyway.
That's true. It's just going to pick up some CS. We'll have to overextend to get it, but as you can see, Trundle would be doing some pretty optimistic wave clearing of his own. Has Tiamat, so we'll just auto push. Ashe will pick up free CS eventually in bot.
CJ trying to push up this bottom lane a little bit more now.
Tara's gone for Boots of Swiftness. Even after all the nerfs, it still provides quite a lot of flat movement speed. No Cloud Drakes to get around the map quickly.
So they need more. Mad Life and Ghost up against Beyond and ADD. Here comes the teleport though. Ian coming down. Ghost already a little bit low here, and he's going the wrong direction, man. That Ashe is not going to escape here. Whoa! And meanwhile, Ian comes in and just blows up Mad Life. Ghost has to flash away, but Max is right there, setting up the double kill for Ian. And MVP, man, they just look like they are outclassing the CJ Entus team so far.
And the flash from Ashe was actually really poor. There was no teammates there. There was no vision there. Yeah, very high likelihood he was going to die.
Exactly, yeah. How are you going to really expect to escape in a situation like that?
You know, if you're Ezreal, you can just Arcane Shift over. Absolutely go for it. But once the teleport comes in, there's no getting out. That's the reality here. And this was initiated by Ghost. He walks up, ults, and then it's like, just channel that teleport. Double kill for free from the side of MVP. So good shot calling, poor decision from Ghost. If you're playing a utility AD carry, your use of the arrow is basically the acid test for how good an Ashe player you are, and a misuse there even though he hit it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that it's not so much about the accuracy, it's about the timing, right? That was just not a good time to go for that play. They didn't have a lot of vision really in the opposing jungle as well, and they paid for it.
And that's, you know, that's one of those mindset things where if you're the AD carry, you know, if you're someone like Bang or someone like Prey, especially Prey, who's played a lot of the Ashe, you have to take in your situation. You have to look at your minimap and go, can I make a play with the area? It's not can I right-click this person to death, is do I have the time, the summoner spells, the knowledge to be able to make a play like that? And with the hindsight, with the complete information, we could definitely say no. Most top players also would have had that sixth sense to not pull the trigger, made the optimistic call, and when that ult's down, it's a free double kill for the LeBlanc.
Yep, that's the result. And MVP already pulling ahead, even earlier than they did in game number 1.
Just to be clear for the viewers, that's a play Kramer wouldn't have made.
Yeah,
so
I agree. Oh, Cloud Drake, yay! So happy.
That was definitely a true rookie mistake. Ghost?
I think you're right. Not a great start for Ghost.
Pretty significantly back on CS, but that's what usually happens for Ashe when the outer turrets are down. Have to be extra safe when you don't have an escape to pick up farm around the map.
Yeah, Max and Maha zoning people, trying to let Beyond set up that red buff for the MVP AD carry. There's Sivert immediately. Wow, they are going for it. That is
optimistic.
That was very optimistic. Yep, no follow-up there from MVP, of course.
Sometimes when you steal a red buff, you just want to shout, Noah.
I guess so. You're like, ah, red buff! Ah. Can't blame him.
We would have missed this video, but they interviewed one of the MVP players about the loss to KT Rolster.
Right.
And they're like, we would have got the last hit on that Nexus. So with MVP, we would have got that KT Rolster Nexus if we flashed for the auto. Basically, if we flashed for safety.
Sure.
So MVP have been just flashing at the end of every game to correct that mistake. So I guess shouting an ultimate makes sense as well.
That's true. Here comes CJ. They want to try to stop MVP from taking this Rift Herald. I don't know if they can, though. Ian's already doing a lot of damage, man. Oh, but then he gets hit by the Ashe arrow. Has to flash away. He's okay for the moment anyway. Max with the counter engage. BDD there as well. He's already trying to escape from this fight. ADD ended up taking a lot of damage early on, even after using that Trundle ultimate. Beyond sneaking through the top side of the map to escape that fight. That kind of was fought to a stalemate.
Yeah, ADD had no mana as well after he used the Contaminate, so just had to back away.
ADD and BDD.
Well, so far A is beating B, which means that we're going for college grading system here.
I guess so.
Nara is close to the Black Cleaver. Boots of Swiftness into Black Cleaver's precious little defensive stats, so it's going to be very execution heavy. If Untara gets that massive Nara ultimate, then Ashe will be able to profit from the armor penetration the Black Cleaver will provide. If not, if it's flashed away from, if it whiffs, it's going to be very squishy frontline Nara.
Yeah. MVP still with a nice little gold lead here. Dragon is up, and it is that Cloud Drake. They're going to move.
Massive contest here.
Yeah. I don't think CJ's too concerned about this. ADD having trouble kind of going toe-to-toe with Untara, but with his jungler right there, they might be able to get this kill anyway. Looking for the flash, Untara goes Mega Gnar. And wow, flash engaged, and they get him right before he can use the summoner.
Yeah, really good from Beyond. Held onto the flash start. BDD's looking for a kill.
Yeah, he is. He's going for it. Meanwhile, MVP does go for this dragon. They're like, all right, you guys can fight up in the top lane. Beyond just pieces out down to bot.
There's something hilarious about a Rek'Sai ulting out while in combat. It's like, you got no CCC up.
Yep. CCC.
Yep.
And that's dragon number 2, the Cloud Drake, going to MVP.
Mountain as the next one. So Mountain, Infernal, and Cloud. So no Ocean. There's not a lot of Ocean starts today, but yeah, the Ocean will not open up in game 2.
Good mix of Drakes. MVP, I suppose. Except for the Cloud Drake part.
Black Cleaver completed for Gnar, but the rest of his team, unfortunately, not in the same one-item power spike territory. BDD's gone for a random sampler of items, I guess working towards the Morellonomicon as his first pickup, but it could be Abyssal Scepter as well. It's going to be the Morellos, but you just compare that to Abyssal Scepter and Needless Large Rod. Extra 1,000 gold casually onto Ian. Yeah, just no one else really able to contest an early skirmish with similar item timings. Means that unfortunately, Untara kind of has to take it to Trundle in lane, but then he doesn't have the ward coverage to do that. So Again, if you go the damage route and have to hold back, if you have to play safe, then it really negates the power of building that Black Cleaver first.
Very true. Still about a 2,000 gold lead for MVP as they kind of muscle their way onto CJ's side of the map. With all 3 outer turrets down now, they've certainly got a bit more map pressure. They are going to be the ones to finally grab this Rift Herald, it looks like.
I just love the way that MVP play when they have pressure, because MVP have definitely been overwhelmed this season by better teams, but when they get through the early game, think about the last set of buffs. They contested the enemy red, stole that away. They now contest the enemy blue, stole that away. They've got Rift Herald as well. They're very ordered in how they play. The best teams in the world, when they get an advantage, when they have a wave pushing advantage, they get the waves in the right spot, then they contest red and blue, and MVP are doing that very cleanly. Yeah.
True. They get back to defend that tier 2 down in bot lane as well, so they don't really take too much damage onto that.
And then the mind games are there for the Gnar, because when you just see your blue buff stolen under your nose, you're not really in a mind space to be able to go offensive with this Black Cleaver and actually trade. You're scared about your own life, so
I suppose
Gnar's going to play defensively.
Oh,
Ash Arrow.
Ash Arrow used. It does not hit Ian, though. Okay.
Always optimistic to try to hit a LeBlanc with Ash Arrow.
Very, very true. Mad Life moving ahead with that shield, looking for a chance to use that Braum ultimate. Here's the teleport. Mad Life hopping back to the red buff to try to get away. Haru caught completely, though. He's going to repel over to Max. They're still going to catch him. Mad Life with the Braum ultimate gets a lot of hits.
Here comes Gnar.
That's right. They're going to try to turn this one around. Ian a bit low to start things off with Utara in the middle of the MVP team. Beyond a bit low here, but now the counter engage from MVP once again. Need to back away, though. Utara slowing everybody down, and the sacrificial cow comes in. Max trying to save his team. Does he do it? Utara, gets the slow into ADD. That is not good for Trundle. Nope. Oh, goodbye. Well, might be able to scare Utara away. There's a lot of minions there. Utara taking some hits, and they actually save him. Haru, tries to get the execute on Ian, but there's a kill from that LeBlanc anyway. Good response from Ian.
Really nice LeBlanc mechanics to dodge the damage there as well. Somehow, Trundle gets away. Maha with the team play right there. And you got to say the buddy system was working for MVP on the outside. And Max, as you said, he knew what he needed to do. He went back in. He knew he would die. But this fight was so close. It was a really nice Trundle pillar, but no one could profit from the damage. Maha's not actually getting auto attacks in. Finally gets his first ricochet, and then everyone's like, oh crap. It's a full rage bar Gnar. And he flashes, he only connects onto Beyond, which should be a disaster, but now Beyond can't be a frontline. Max's ult is down, everyone's running. This could easily be 3 kills to CJ Entus, unless Max, he does the support thing. He realizes, yep, could be 3 kills, but I'm just going to guarantee the safety of my teammates, and he managed to do that.
Gotta do something. Good support play.
Almost a massive Gnar ultimate, but
well, if that flash had caught Ma, that would have been a much different story for that team fight, but it just barely didn't hit him.
It was one of those situations where, because they could focus on Beyond...
Hi, Utara. Bye, Utara. Uh-oh.
He doesn't have any wards.
Nope. No, he doesn't.
None at all.
MVP with an easy pick there.
Not even on that side of the map.
Nope. He was pushed all the way up with absolutely no vision, and what do you know? He died. Shocking.
Well, MVP, once again, going to the natural playbook. We said it already. They push up their waves, they contest enemy buffs. They see someone overextended without vision, they take them down. It's simple play, but very nicely executed so far.
Kunan to ADD, but he is not
Here comes Alistar.
Deterred. Yep. Ian there as well. Oh, wow. Nice headbutt onto that Karma. BDD just blown up. MVP with some nice ganks there. Whoops. Maha walks right into Haru. And that's classic Maha. Oh, but now the counter engage. Haru in a little bit of trouble. Mad Life kind of on his own as well. Nice double pulverize from Max. Ghost trying to back away, trying to kite out, but that's going to be 2 more kills from the MVP side. Ghost going ham here. Whoa, buddy, it's 1v5. He's going for it, though. Meanwhile, Utara comes in to try to turn things around. Nice stun on ADD. There's a kill for CJ. So somehow, some way, Ghost with the confidence that his top laner can turn things around, and it pays off.
Speaking of turns, Beyond turn for the flash Unburrow missed it onto Ghost, and that's why there were 3 members with very low health actually moving towards the full health Ashe. Only 1 member, once again, is the sacrificial lamb. This time it's ADD. could have gone a lot worse. It starts off pretty good for MVP. This is really nice from Max. He flash poles. He doesn't look for headbutt pole. So there's no animation for BDD to try to outplay.
Right,
So he's taken out. And then Maha decides to go the greedy route. He's like, that's a minion wave. I'm going to take it down with a ricochet Q. But basically dies for free. And then things look like they're going to go okay. They take down Haru, even through Summoner Spell heal. They're pretty tanky. They take some free damage, but okay, we can turn around with these 2 kills.
Sure.
We cut it off, though. We're going to go straight to action.
Well, that's because we had BDD teleporting in for CJ to try to contest that Mountain Drake. MVP just backs off for the moment.
There was that mechanical misplay we missed there from Beyond. He thought he was in range for Flash on Burrow, but missed it, and that's why Trundle had to die.
He had to die. Now, I mean, Maha, we've criticized this guy before, and if he had gone with his team, they could have put some legitimate pressure onto Baron, and instead, they ended up getting kind of dragged into this really awkward team fight. CJ going for the Mountain Drake now. MVP not looking concerned about it. They're just going to let him have it. They're going for the turret instead.
Wow,
And
CJ
Haru,
actually.
whoop. Oh, that's awkward. Oh, all right. Well, they get it, but they lose a lot of time there. MVP going for this mid lane tier 2, and they will pick up that objective. So trading that Mountain Drake for the tier 2 turret. What do you think?
CJ didn't need to do that. They actually turned very slowly from the Drake, even though they failed to turn. Oh, ADD.
Yeah, maybe caught. There's the Ash Arrow kind of guaranteeing that ADD in a lot of trouble. Could flash over the wall. Not going to bother.
I like how Max walked up to the wall and was like, okay, I'll try to heal you, bro.
See ya. No. Well, I mean, it's getting a bit silly now. MVP, a lot of their players kind of getting caught in silly positions, aren't they?
Definitely. Making some poor positioning mistakes, no more so than Maha.
That's going to cost them the mid turret, too.
Coming back to the Drake, even though Haru misjuggled it, he could have just slowly soloed it, or slowly soloed it from about 2,000 health while his team left early to try to wave clear, but
Probably, yeah.
the shot call was just too slow, too late, and that's why MVP got to take that outer mid lane turret. 5 turrets to 2, and this is kind of the situation I talked about. Trundle's got Frozen Heart Tiamat, and basically has more tank stats and a decent amount of damage to take on Untaro, who has a bit of magic resist, a bit of armor, but you kind of feel like both Ian and ADD can take the 1v1 against the Gnar, and that's where the strategic options kind of get a bit narrow for CJ Entus.
Yeah. A little bit awkward.
I mean, you look at the gold, it's 500 gold ahead for the Trundle, about 1,500 gold ahead for the LeBlanc, who can definitely delete this Gnar.
Yeah. And I mean, the overall gold, too, has been slowly creeping more and more in MVP's favor throughout the game.
Ian is, to me, the biggest overperformer based on expectations pre-season to this season. 5-0 casually in this game on the LeBlanc.
No, he's looked really good. I mean, there's been a lot of hype about Beyond, and Beyond has had some good play, but I think Ian is right behind him overall.
There's no one you looked at on the MVP lineup and say, this guy needs to be replaced. He's not cutting it in Champions, when Max was the only player with any experience in the LCK, and that was 2 games on CJ Entus.
I kind of feel like Maha could use a bit of work. But
again, like, he made one big mistake this game, but in general, he's been just fine. Sure, you could just plug a better AD carry in and the team would probably be better, but this is a 5-man lineup. They have no subs. The team synergy is obviously very important, and they've played surprisingly well.
They have. And a 2-0 against CJ would be a nice thing to kind of pad there. What a week. Season stats, yeah, for sure.
Jinair and then CJ Entus. Crazy to think that they did not play from the time they got dominated by SKT till a week later when they beat Jinair, and then what a change. I guess they used that week very effectively. I'd love to hear them talk about what they used 7 days of practice. You don't get 7 days off in the LCK very often now that we play 6 days a week, but I think their preparation should be commended because they look like a different team after a week's change.
Yeah, very true. And, you know, no doubt that match against SK Telecom gave them a lot to study, a lot to work on, a lot of feedback for their own play.
It could go either way. Spenu talked about when they were dominating games last season that, you know, the flow-on effect was lack of confidence for weeks, but they got dominated. They didn't get a chance to get any sort of revenge for a week and came back stronger, and that's a really good sign for MVP.
I suppose it is. MVP looking for an opportunity to put some more map pressure on. They pretty much have the map at this point. With some split pushing and to do some damage to BDD. And he's going to be able to do a lot.
MVP. So hard for Ghost to try to thread an Ash Arrow. Who do you Ash Arrow when there's Spell Shield, Trundle, Rek'Sai, and Alistar all to basically eat that massive initiation ultimate?
Yeah. Tara, here's the teleport. CJ going for this. Ooh, I don't know, man.
LeBlanc hasn't committed to anything just yet.
Yeah, that was a bit awkward for CJ. BDD coming in, but really not finding anything, and now that's just going to ensure that they lose that bottom tier 2.
BD could have stuck around and wave cleared. Thought he saw a sign, thought he saw initiation, but clearly seems that that was not to be.
Yeah. Huh, well. It's a problem. Another dragon coming up in a minute 20 with Baron a threat. Oh, they're going to go for it, trying to make a play onto Haru here, and it looks like they may have found him. Nowhere to go to. Flashing over the wall. Oh! Prey Seeker! Beyond. Helps ADD, I guess, pick up the kill.
Prey Seeker and maybe the second proc of Contaminate killed him, I guess?
I guess so, yeah, that was interesting. But anyway, it does free up what should be a fairly easy Baron for MVP now. CJ has to try to contest, but they have no way to really steal it without Haru.
Armor damage will definitely hit hard. There's the Ash Arrow.
That was big. Utara coming in with a full Narbar. Has to flash away, though. MVP turning off the Baron. Chasing after Utara. There goes Ian for some damage. On to Ghost. Ghost trapped completely by Beyond. Beyond again, making the plays that set up the kills for MVP. And they can go right back onto this Baron. They may not need to. Yeah, they're just going to recall. It's probably smart.
Yeah, they don't have the health bar on max. Doesn't have ult either. So even though the rest of them are healthy, Baron buff. It's not the smart play. Backing off is definitely the smart play. This is actually a pretty good contest. They hit the one person they wanted to hit on the Ash Arrow. That was Ian, so the spell shield doesn't work. And then it's a 3-man Gnar from Luntara. It's just, obviously with the man disadvantage, it's never going to be an initiation. This was purely just to buy time. And when you're peeling away from a Baron against LeBlanc, you're pretty sad with your Ash.
Yeah, I would say so. Infernal Drake is up, and that's big for MVP. If they can claim another Infernal Drake, that's going to make them pretty much unbeatable in team fights.
You want to hear the cruelest irony of CJ Entus, Doa?
What?
This lineup, I think, could use an experienced jungler with good shot calling. You know who that guy is, Doa?
Who?
Ambition.
Yep, he is now. Oh, hello. All right. Stick around.
He's in a bit of... Oh, maybe not.
Flash on the cocoon. It's okay. A freeze is coming.
That moment when CJ fans wish they had Ambition, man.
Yeah. Well, MVP has that second Infernal Drake now. And so that's going to be a lot of damage boost.
I mean, LeBlanc is going full damage, so not even going for magic penetration with the Needless Large Rod after the Abyssal. And shooting on 2,600 gold, that's going to be a death cap completed, I have to think. I'm only looking at the gold values, but it certainly sounds like a death cap. And death cap plus 16% bonus from Infernal Drake's pretty happy times. We'll point out the AP value on the LeBlanc when we see a flash over to Ian. 223 AD casually on 2 AD item Maha.
Alright, they're going to investigate, wanting to make sure that MVP is not taking Baron, but it looks like they're going to take Mad Life instead. BDD comes around, actually gets a good amount of damage with that Q, but here comes Ian and Maha from the bottom of this fight, blowing up the Ash immediately. Ghost already down, a kill on each side. BDD trying to flash away, and MVP just has way too much damage, a triple kill. Very unsurprisingly for Ian in that fight.
And this is just the wealth of the game, paying off for MVP.
Yep.
Once again, trying to fight in narrow terrain with Ghost. No flash available. He blew it last time after the turn on Baron. And it's going to be the inhibitor turret down, the inhibitor down, and maybe the game shortly coming through for MVP. Because
they do have a minion wave. This might be the game. They can just charge ahead, and with the damage they've got from those 2 Infernal Drakes,
this is a bit of a mistake from Trundle. He should have backed and then recall, but he's just going to teleport anyway to keep a minion alive. They might be able to end the game. It's only 5 seconds till BDD respawn.
Well, here we go. MVP trying to fight a close Nexus battle. Are they going to flash for it? Uh-oh, CJ coming in, and the Nexus goes down, and that's the 2-0 for MVP. Well, Papa Smithy, they flashed for it.
They did.
There you go.
And look, you don't get a lot of practice in these really narrow Nexus taking damage calculations, so maybe they were like, well, this is silly, but let's try it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, they got it. It was close, but they also had a huge damage advantage over CJ Entus. And I mean, what can you say? Both games tonight from MVP, they've just looked better than CJ on all accounts.